It's just insane. It is madness from every single way you look at it. And, you know, you mentioned the women of the Secret Service and the diversity pics clearly on full display over the weekend. But they were like a pack of fumbling fumbleinas. And I think that this particular video sums up their efforts.
After Secret Service Barbie, a highly trained member of the Secret Service, removes her weapon from its holster for the very first time in her career. She struggles to return her pea shooter as though it's her first day on the job. Fortuitously, her skills from a previous life as an amateur actress come into play, allowing her to convincingly mimic the swift draw of the weapon and scan the horizon for threats. Chewing her gum nonchalantly, she attempts to exude a tactical demeanor, reminiscent of a fusion between the Blues Brothers and Rosie O'Donnell.
Look, she couldn't find her holster. Another agent was preoccupied with her sunglasses. They were running around like headless chooks. Meanwhile, the former president had been shot. And what I noticed was on the first day of the Republican convention when Donald Trump walked in, there were no female security in sight. It was all men. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, look, it goes back to this idea of they have to have some kind of, weird random number on how many women they want to have there. Again, I want to make this clear. I'm not saying women can't do the job. I mean, I've seen some pretty badass women out there, and those are the kind of people they should be hiring. But I think Secret Service 101 is learn how to take out your weapon and then reholster it. I think that's kind of like the first thing you're supposed to learn on the job. And just look at the size of her. She just can't handle a man of President Trump's size. I think that's what it comes down to. I think it's ridiculous. I'm not saying that there's any kind of conspiracy here, that they weren't trying to give him the best people they could. Look, I remember I spent 10 days with Secret Service people when Ivanka Trump was at a program that I was on. And I got to know these guys really well, and they're phenomenal. They're absolutely great, totally competent. But I'm saying that the people we saw there did not seem to be at the top of their game.
No, I completely agree with you. There are some incredible women out there working in law enforcement security who do a great job, but something happened very clearly on the weekend. There was a breakdown there, and it's been on full display ever since. Now, CNN is reporting that US authorities obtained intelligence in recent weeks on a plot by Iran to try and assassinate Donald Trump, a development that led to the Secret Service, would you believe it, actually increasing security around the former president. With the existence of the intelligence threat from a hostile foreign intelligence agency, plus this enhanced security for Trump, does that raise even more questions about the lapses at the Pennsylvania event?
Yeah, it absolutely does. This is not a warning that they got from an individual. This is a warning they got about a state that was looking to and using their state resources to possibly assassinate the president. That's a whole different level, threat level, obviously, you need to deal with. I think that highlights the problems that we saw. It highlights the fact that this man was on the roof for a full 30 minutes before he shot the president, and that he was actually pointed out not by Secret Service, but by a local cop and some fans who were at the rally. No, it's a massive problem. But I think the more important takeaway here for me is that when it comes to the election, if our sworn enemy, Iran, wants to take out this president, this former president, what does that mean about who we should be electing, right? If they've got their support around Biden saying, we'd rather have that guy as president, let's take out Trump, I think it says a lot about the Trump presidency and how we're going to be handling Iran. Look, there's no secret. Iran doesn't like Trump. Why? Because Trump was able to handle Iran. They killed Soleimani. They got us out of the Iran deal. He put on more sanctions. He handled Iran the way they had to be handled, not with a feather, but with a stone, with a rock. And that's what Trump did. Look, this is a President Biden, who, after Iran sent over 300 missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones and rockets against Israel, President Trump said to Netanyahu, You better not retaliate or you will lose my support. This is what we're dealing with. Iran knows that. That's why they prefer to have President Biden versus President Trump, and they're trying to stack the deck by taking him out.
Yeah, because they know they've had a more easy run under Joe Biden, and they know that Trump is genuinely going to stand in their way. I think that's a very, very good point. Now, the host of the left-leaning MSNBC show Morning Joe, Joe Scarborough, has criticised his own network for taking the show off air in the wake of the shooting. The talk show was reportedly pulled because NBC bosses feared an anti-Trump guest might make an inappropriate comment, exposing the program as if it already hasn't been exposed, and the entire network to a political backlash. But here's what the host had to say on air.
Next time we're told there's going to be a news feed replacing us, we will be in our chairs.
We'll be sitting here.
Yeah, and the news feed will be us, or they can get somebody else
sitting here
to host the show.
Well, the world would be a better place if they did indeed quit, because have a listen to some of Joe's previous meltdowns.
And if he is voted into office, then a lot of these people that are talking about literal or figurative or whatever the hell they're saying, you're going to look like idiots. Because he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country.
Listen, if they voted for Trump in 16, whatever. They voted for Trump in 20, they knew exactly what they were doing. If they vote for Donald Trump in 2024, they're knowingly voting for a fascist. They're voting for a racist. They're voting for somebody that wants to put this country 200 years in the back.
Army, the guy is clearly completely unhinged. Isn't it time to cancel this show permanently?
This is par for the course of MSNBC. Do I think he should be fired and end the show? No. Why? Because this is what this entire news network is about, right? The fact, look, it's not just about him being unhinged about Trump. This is a man, Joe Scarborough, who's gaslighting about how the great fitness Joe Biden was in just prior to that debate, right? He talked about how he's the top of his game mentally and physically. So this is not the only problem, Joe Scarborough, but the bigger problem is that this is MSNBC writ large, and even worse, to be honest. The truth is, if you wanted to show clips of other hosts talking about Trump and the Trump derangement syndrome that they have, it would be worse. And they all have jobs. So should he be taken out? No, because this is par for the course of the network. This is what the network is all about. This is actually personal for me. I actually was banned from the Joe Scarborough Joe Scarborough show a few years back. So, a little just desserts.
Well, lucky you, Army. You're never going to be able to get the opportunity to chat with Joe again. How do you feel about that?
I'm feeling okay.
Yeah, you've survived. Congratulations. Army Horowitz, great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Always a pleasure.